So you want to get into woodworking and don't know what project to start with. Might I suggest cutting board woodworking? Wow. So you might hear people in the woodworking world joking about making cutting boards.
It's so oversaturated.
It's not creative enough.
Everybody's doing it.
Here's why I think it's a great starting point. Lesson 1. To make a good cutting board, you need to know what woods are acceptable to use, which means you need to learn a little bit more about the properties of wood, like how maple is a hardwood. Some other examples of hardwoods are walnut, cherry, and ash, and some examples of softwoods are pine, spruce, cedar, and fir. Sometimes hardwoods could also be porous and less dense, which makes them unsuitable for cutting boards. Those categories just refer to the kind of trees that they come from. Hardwoods come from deciduous trees, softwoods come from coniferous trees. Number 2, you learn about grain direction. You can make a simple board using a single piece of wood. However, depending on the grain pattern, you might have warping over time. Some good alternatives are edge grain boards where you cut strips of wood and glue them face to face. Or you could take it a step further and do cross cuts on the edge grain and make an end grain board where the exposed surface is all end grain. And when you're cutting with your knife, you're cutting parallel to the grain of the wood. Lesson 3. To make a good cutting board, you need to learn about wood movement. Wood expands and contracts based on the moisture level in your environment. That movement happens across the grain, which means you can't glue end grain to long grain because the pieces will expand in different directions and you'll end up with a crack somewhere. Lesson 4. You will learn how to properly mill wood. If you try to glue up two pieces that are not perfectly jointed, you'll end up with gaps. And there's ways around that even without a jointer, but that's for another day. If you glue a bunch of pieces together without planing them, you'll end up with a surface that isn't perfectly flat. So making a solid cutting board with no gaps and without having to put too much clamping pressure during your glue up requires the knowledge and skill of proper milling. And it doesn't matter that everyone is doing it. There's so many ways to get creative with it. The design options are endless. But more than that, I think it could serve as a starting point to gain some basic understanding of woodworking before you move on to your next project. So try it out.